I'd like to call this meeting of the Dalton Selectboard to order, please. Please notice this meeting is being recorded by Zoom for the purpose of taking minutes in DCTV. All those able, please rise for the pledge. Mr. Boyle, would you please?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're gonna mix this up a little. We're gonna go to item 6 first before the public address to the board. After the hearing of a dog hearing, we'll come back for the public comments, okay?
Good evening. Try this one again tonight. So, March 11th, 2025, Officer of Representation responded to 2 home terrace with a report of a loose dog going after another dog. Well, en route to that house, the officers were notified that the dog was trying to access the neighbor's house. When officers arrived, the dog that lives at 2 was observed to be bleeding. It suffered some significant injuries to the general area of the dog. Upon further investigation, it was found out the dog wanted, I'm just going to back up some, talk louder.
Yeah.
The dog lives at,
You wanna come up, here? Come on up to this side. Come on up to this side.
Give me a chair. Give me a chair.
I'm good, I can crouch. I'm young enough.
They just.
Lord. It was determined that the dog was living at 11 Home Terrace to a Mr. Travis Costello. Mr. Costello stated to both myself and Sergeant Miller that he was just the keeper of the dog and refused to say who the owner was. He did state that he was up to date on his rabies vaccine. However, after several calls to multiple veterinary organizations, I still have not been able to confirm that, partially because I don't have a name to go with the dog, other than the dog's name being Bear. That same evening is when Mr. Fisher of 2 Home Terrace called, saying that his dog was in surgery for significant injuries. And after that time, Mr. Costello's dog got out on the 14th and 18th, 2 incidents after this. He was cited for all 3 incidents for failure to restrain his dog. And we are here because it is my professional opinion that this dog is a danger to the community. Not another animal getting significantly injured. Someone going to get injured trying to prevent this dog from attacking their own animal.
Mr. Costello been served properly.
I believe he was. I don't have the exact date he was sent the letters. The town manager or his assistant should have the exact date of that.
What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is that the dog be deemed dangerous and that under Chapter 140, Section 157, Section Section 30, subsection III, that when removed from the premises, the owner of the dog that when removed from the premise of the owner or the premise of the person keeping the dog shall be securely and humanely muzzled and restrained with a chain or other tethering device having a minimal tensile strength of 300 pounds and not exceeding 3 feet in length, along with double I, which is the section above that. I believe you were all provided email and physical copies. That the dog be confined to the premise of the keeper of the dog, provided, however, that confined shall mean securely confined indoors or confined outdoors in a securely enclosed or locked pen or dog run area upon the premise of the owner or keeper, provided further that such pen or dog run shall have a secure fence, and if such enclosure has no floor, secured to the sides thereof, the side shall be embedded into the ground for not less than 2 feet, and provided further that within the confines of such pen or dog run, a dog run or proper shelter from the elements shall be provided to protect the dog.
Previous conversation, he said they didn't believe his dog was still out there. That's so good.
The last call for service that officers had up there, they did mention the dog was not there at the time. We have not had any further calls for service animal control wise to that residence. So to my knowledge, the dog isn't there, but I can't confirm that. We haven't gotten complaints. But it is, the order that comes with this does follow the dog throughout the entire Commonwealth.
Okay. Motion?
And then, if you're, what you want as a motion, but the move that we granting the authority under chapter and verse that you have cited to take the necessary action to capture and corral and hold this dog in custody.
It would be to deem the dog dangerous and implement Chapter 140, Section 157, subsection C, and both double I and triple I under that.
I will amend my motion to state that we characterize the dog as being dangerous on your recommendation and take the necessary action.
No second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There you go.
Got it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Thank you. This is a time when the public may address the board on any item listed on the meeting agenda or any issue or matter of the town. If you intend on comment on an item listed on the meeting agenda, please do so at this time, as we will not be taking comments from the audience when the item comes up for board discussion. The public address to the board segment will last no longer than 30 minutes. Each individual will be given up to 3 minutes. If you intend on addressing the board, we ask you to do the following. Please raise your hand to be recognized by the board chair. Please step up to the podium and speak into the microphone. Please identify yourself by name, address, or the company or institution you represent. Please address your comments to the board chair. Please make your comments concise and try not to repeat statements made by others. Discussion or debate on any issue may not take place at this time. The chair or the designee may answer questions on procedural matters. Is there anyone that wants to speak before we... Ron? No?
Want to do it now or?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you. And can my assistant take her place, please?
I do a much better job than me.
Oh, that's still not. It's another.
Yeah. Thank you. This particular subject deals with Berkshire County Council.
Sure, so everybody can hear you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Sorry, everybody. My name is Ron Griffin. I live on 33 Florence Street. Our saga regarding this particular matter started at the beginning of November 2024, about 7 months ago. There was a dust cloud very near our house. After it dissipated somewhat, I went to the town hall and mentioned it to the town manager. On January 9th, almost 5 months ago, I visited with the Board of Health to tell them about the copious amounts of sand on our property. Lynn went on Google Earth and discovered the secret sand line near our property. On January 15th, the Board of Health contacted the DEP. The DEP seemed to be concerned, came to our property, took a sample of this sand, a couple actually, which was partially provided by my wife, from our house to be tested. A month later, February 13th, almost 4.5 months ago, we were told the DEP could only offer technical advice and could not test the sample they took. The DEP informed the Board of Health that Berkshire Concrete was, 1, violating their special permit, 2, that the Board of Health has the authority under C.111 S.31 to act to determine a condition is impairing public comfort. 3, the town authorities can order Berkshire Concrete to implement an air monitoring program at their fence line and report those results to the town on an established basis. And again, this was from the DEP back on February 13th, or thereabouts. On February 21st, a letter from the DEP to Agnes Witowski, the Dalton Board of Health, lists 4 Massachusetts general laws that give the Board of Health authority to regulate particulate matter and dust. It also states, in quotes, it may provide a substantial benefit to the town to organize a multi-departmental meeting with representatives from Berkshire Concrete. An opportunity for all of the involved municipal departments to meet with Berkshire Concrete, lay out concerns, clarify the desires of the community, and begin a productive dialogue that may lead to the most expeditious solution to the problem. End quotes. The DEP is also able to offer technical assistance on current and proposed permit language. My wife has copies of this letter that came from the DEP for the select board member. This letter was sent 3 months ago
Could you give one for Dan, he's coming.
to both.
We need the one for the records.
On March 12th, 1 month after DEP informed the Board of Health that they have the authority, the Board of Health finally issues a cease and desist order to Berkshire Concrete and orders the DC to immediately implement measures to abate the nuisance conditions by preventing dust and sand from leaving the property. On March 27th, 2 months ago, we were told the Board of Health had 3 environmental firms they were vetting to hire and oversee a mitigation plan submitted by Berkshire Concrete. On April 28th, notice please that there's a very clear timeline, dates. If you need any information concerning those specific dates, you're more than welcome to provide them. On April 28th, Berkshire Concrete started mitigating on lot 105-16 without oversight from the town because, quotes, Berkshire Concrete owns the property and they can do what they want on it. And this is as we were told by the town's building inspector. Today, May 27th, 2 months after we were told the Board of Health had an environmental firm already vetted, I contacted Agnes Witowski from the Board of Health to ask again about the hiring of an environmental firm and the names of the firms the town has vetted. I received no response, but got the names, thank you, from the town manager. The firms are TRC from Boston and Braintree, Rue Inc. from Burlington, Mass., and Berkshire Environmental Group from Pittsfield, Mass. Tomorrow, May 28th, the 3 environmental engineering firms are supposed to submit their proposals. First, we started by informing the boards, this is kind of in summation, about the violations of the special permits. Then the disregard of bylaws by Berkshire Concrete. Then the health issues caused by silica and the breathing of any small particulate matter. Then the nuisance issues. My electric bill is $100 more than a year ago because we can't put laundry out on the line to dry. We gotta put it in a freaking dryer. Windows and outside areas are constantly needing cleaning. Vacuuming has to be done daily because of the grit on my floors. A new concern that's just kind of come to light is that a sand mine near your home could potentially increase the radon levels in your house. Mining activities increase the ability of radon gas to travel to the surface of the sand and or gravel that is being distributed or disturbed and escape from the ground and enter homes. That's written DEP and federal specifics about radon. Children exposed to radon, a known carcinogen, have twice the risk of developing lung cancer and respiratory illness than adults because of their developing lungs. So now our children have the risk of radon, as well as silica exposure. There are 7 children, Lynn has the map, located in 14 homes on Hill Street Extension, Demi Street Extension, Prospect Street, and Prospect Street Extension. These streets are all in the line of fire for sand pollution. It could affect both health because of radon and silica. No one but no one is committed to having the sand tested because they know that construction sand is 96 to 100% silica. This data is from the National Institute of Occupational Health. Shame on Dalton that they do not protect the most vulnerable in our community,
Children.
let alone oldsters like everybody in this room. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, in the back.
Good evening. Lisa Franklin Drive. Today, I witnessed 4 trucks either coming or going from the Berkshire Concrete site, 2 on my way to school at Greenville, and 2 later in the day when we were outside with the children. The truck that was leaving the property this morning created an incredible amount of dust, so much that I stopped and waited for him to go a little further behind so I didn't have to be in the dust cloud. None of those 4 trucks that I saw today had a cover on, and I don't understand why. At the site meeting on May 6th, Mr. Ladicon, the COO, said that the trucks are supposed to be covered. We knew that they shouldn't be, and he promised to look into it, yet nothing has changed. I witness these trucks daily as I work at Cranial. Those 4 trucks that I saw today were just a small percentage of what goes by every single day. At the Board of Health meeting on May 14th, I asked why the board was not levying any fines on Berkshire Concrete for the violations that Agnes had witnessed herself. The answer was that the town attorney suggested to them that they write Berkshire Concrete a letter. Sending letters has proved to be performative and has not resolved any of our issues. The Board of Health does have the power to assess fines. They even warned Berkshire Concrete that they would do that, and yet they still refused to issue a fine. Why are they using their authority that they've been given? Back in February, Mr. Berkshire of the DEP told the Board of Health town authorities can order Berkshire Concrete to implement an air monitoring program with a fence-length perimeter and report results to the town on an established basis. Why hasn't this been done since February? We're talking about raising money to get air monitoring. This is on that. This should not be on the town's expense. We have the power in our laws. The DEP told us that back in February. Those monitors should have already been going for months. We also asked the cease and desist order be enforced after the last Board of Health meeting so that the entirety of warrant 516 be abated. It's now 2 weeks since that meeting, and as far as I know, no fines have been assessed. As some of you may have seen pictures that Town Power sent today, the full site has still not been abated. The attorney tells us that they're finished, that they don't get to make that decision. You do, the town does. They don't decide when they're finished, we tell them when they're finished, and they're not finished. The original cease and desist order on February 20th, at that time, Brian Duval explained to them that they could enter the property to abate. They did nothing. Then they were ordered to abate the dust on March 12th. Still, nothing. Retreat was then given an April 25th deadline to submit a full abatement and mitigation plan. Again, nothing. He did not start any abating until the end of April or May. None of these inactions have been challenged by the town. None of these orders were followed up with actual consequences. Claims to be a good neighbor. The last letter, I believe, that came from his attorney. They want to continue to show that they are a good neighbor. I have not seen any action to show that. And similar to something that Ron said, why did it take months for those bid requests to go out? Why did those just go out? The plan that was turned in on May 2nd wasn't a real mitigation plan. It wasn't a full plan. It wasn't stamped. It wasn't signed. It was actually stamped. The date stamped, I believe, was March 10th. There was supposed to be a plan back in place in 2022 when we first began excavating. So there should have already been a plan. So to say that we didn't ask for proposals until after that plan was turned on May 2nd isn't a proper reason. It shouldn't take us this long to enforce a permit condition that was set in 2013. We all know that this is not the first issue with Trico. We've given decades of evidence over the last several months. The generational disregard for the citizens of Dalton is continuing. Why isn't this town holding Berkshire Concrete and Trico truly accountable? There are no real consequences, and Patrica seems to know that. He continues to do whatever he wants in his timeline. He shouldn't be allowed to set these terms. It's not acceptable. The town needs to assert itself and be in control of the timeline, the acceptable conditions, and the consequences. It's time for the town to take charge of this narrative. We thank you for all the work that you have done. We truly do. We know that you have done a lot, and the boards have come together, and we very much appreciate that. We appreciate that you all have full-time jobs. We do too. The hours that we put into this every week after work is incredible, and on the weekends. We need more accountability, and we need actual action. We fully support the motion made by Mr. Pagler-Ruoff for the warrant to be added to the special town meeting. Let's please move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have copies of this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Could have one more for Ian now.
Yes.
Thanks.
Very well. Who's in the back? Daniel, in the back.
Good evening, Board. I'm David Pugh on Boardroom Drive. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to add just a bit more to what Lisa said. I've been on the property pretty much daily over the last few months, taking a lot of video coverage, and I just want to make sure the point I make is really heard tonight. That is, given everything that Lynn and Lisa's already said, I was out there Sunday, and when you look from the base, it looks from the air as well. It looks like more than half of the exposed area on 105/16 is still exposed. From the top, you think maybe it's half, but really the drone photos that were shared today, half, again, have been, the grass is growing nicely. Work that was never, again, stamped, approved, recommended for changes. But the other half really needs to be taken care of. I was out there today, things are getting dry. As those who have been with me in the, on these walks, it's a tall day, but when you get on top of that hill, the very, the end close to, off Prospect Street, the wind is just high. It's just always there. Even on the coldest of days. I met someone the other day, it was calm on, at the Griffin residence, around where the persons live. We walked up to the top of the hill and it wasn't just blowing in our face. We actually had to turn. And we looked at each other and we thought, today's a calm day. It wasn't even a day where there was a lot of wind. So I would really urge this board to direct Berkshire Concrete and Tree to really get that other side abated, grass growing, just a mirror image of the other side. Prior to any kind of consideration to a special permit request in the rest of lot 516, things really need to be cleaned up in order. And certainly, I certainly, like Lisa, support the motion made to allow the town to have some funds to really organize and really have an offensive scheme and take charge versus being reacting. So I support that motion. And again, I'm here to support you. You know, as I collect footage, I'll share with you. If I come across important documents that I feel are liable to you as a board member, I'll certainly share those with you as well. So I'm here to work with you to see that through. Thank you.
Based on all the pictures that Tom sent us.
Yes.
And Steve, what is that?
Yeah, you know, center out, they did smooth out after we had that meeting with them on the site.
Yep.
But as you kind of move northwest in the direction they want to go eventually, it's very rugged. It's very much like the whole site used to look like. So again, I've stated before, I would rather have it smooth the water until the town can get a stamp and the third party to agree on what should be done over there. But they've done some work that has minimized the sand, but my fear is things get dry. The other 60% of the site is just below with sand. I did count 20 trees up top. We've seen that planted some trees since I was up there the last week. I was kind of surprised I didn't see the fence today. They had said that they were going to have a fence in by May 30th, which is another week. But it is certainly dry enough now to move trucks up the hill. It's much drier than it was a few days ago. So, you know, as I pointed out, the past two, I'm 1,000 feet with very mature forest between the top edge and Raymond Drive. And that mature forest of 100 feet to 1,000 feet doesn't protect my property. So they planted 20 trees, but thank you. I don't know what a fence is going to do, but absolutely the other half has to be cleaned up. You still have half the problem that exists on that site.
Okay.
So please, as fast as we can before July, let's get it done. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I will entertain a motion from the board to write a letter to Berkshire Concrete to immediately get that covered up. The other part that's not covered. The board is so done.
I will move the action take place by this board.
For a second.
I second that. We have another letter too, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All those in favor?
I just want to ask a question.
Sure.
Is this letter going from the select board directly?
To Berkshire County Concrete.
Okay.
Yep.
You got these other people.
We copy everybody else on.
Then,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anyone else?
Pete Berkson, at 30 Florence Street, Dalton. I just looking for you here. Couple things. As far as we know, there is no stamped engineer's plan, which, again, is putting the cart ahead of the horse. That should have all been in place before they started. Okay, at the meeting, excuse me, where, they met with Perry Patrica, David Brown Griffin, met with him, and they asked about why only half of it's mitigated, and they said, we're going there next. The degree of arrogance on their part, they didn't even have the correct permits to be there to begin with, and, oh, we're going there next. They're telling us, they're telling the town what they're gonna do. And we don't have any say over it. That's really what Perry Patrica stood there. It's like, hey, you know, we may as well have lobbed us all the bird and said, hey, we're going there next. You're not going to stop us. That's what he's telling us. And I don't like it when somebody tells me that they're going to do something that they're not entitled to do. So why do they feel they can do that? Why do they feel that they didn't need to comply with the order on the Board of Health with March 12th? They were ordered to do it. And people threw around things. And somebody from the planning board, who I have zero respect for now, a sitting member of our planning board, well, you know, they don't think they can go there because they've been told that they can't go on the property. No, they were told they couldn't mine on the property. They could abate it. Matter of fact, they were ordered to abate it. So it's very frustrating to sit and listen. You know, we've been here for how many months now, and it's the same thing over and over. Okay? Yeah, it's great that now you're going to send them a letter saying they need to do that as well. Very good. You know, if that happens, I'm happy with it. But it's just, I still keep going back to the statement, we're going there next. Under whose authority? Why would we have any bylaws if they're not going to play by the rules? What, because they have more money, they have a bigger lawyer? I'm at a loss. So when is the violator going to decide the level of their violation? Perry Patrica stood there at that meeting, again, I'm told, and said to everybody, okay, it's a nuisance, it's not a health hazard. How does he know? There's no science that's been done with this. When they did the monitoring, they brought the DEPs and said, well, yeah, the particulate matter is high, but we feel it's high from wood smoke in the area. We feel that. Okay, there's no science in that. A feeling is not science. We're not getting anything scientifically done. Now, the fact that Tony's pushing for monitoring on their property line, I'm all for that. And again, Perry said, I was kind of reluctant on that. Well, why would he be reluctant? If his material wasn't coming across, rolling into our yards, why would he be so reluctant? If I felt that my material wasn't leaving the site, I'd be all over that saying, I'm proving that it's not. But I do have some concerns even if you put the monitors on the property lines, and that being that you look at things in a wind tunnel, when engineers do things in wind tunnels. We don't know with that hill, you don't know if that sand's just coming over the top of the hill and falling down, or you don't know if that sand's going 180, 200, 500 feet in the air and then depositing somewhere. Nobody really knows that.
2,400 feet
2,400 feet and will go into the air?
to the baseball fields at the Legion.
Okay, so we don't really know. How does it travel? And short of bringing in scientists to know, I mean, I can guess and say, yeah, if you bring in a smoke generator and you blow the smoke there, we should be able to see how it goes. But sure, does anybody really know? There's a whole lot of questions on this. And there's not really many answers. But to just say, and within all of the, I don't remember what they are, 310 something, if I can remember correctly, I don't have it written down, for earth removal, there's all kinds of stipulations in there. And they even mention nuisance. And the proximity to neighborhoods. And we're just not living up to that. So, as observed from satellite photographs, the whole area, from all the way over from where the garage is, all the way over to 105-16, and then over beyond the solar fields. If you look at that and measure things out, and I'm not saying that I did it perfectly, but I would say 20 plus, conservatively, 20 plus acres, 1,300,000 and some odd thousand square feet of bare earth, and it's sand. What do you think's going to happen when the wind blows? Is there no limitation to how much bare sand that they can have? So a statement in the 1980s, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it's been said, and I've heard it several times, that they will never go east of the pond. Does anybody remember that? I know you were a selectman, Jonathan, at some point.
It's something that's been said for years, it's bandied about, but how much legal authority or authority has been granted by the planning board where they can go. I really don't know. I know exactly what you're talking about. There used to be a walking trail around the pond. Then all of a sudden, 2 years ago, there wasn't. And they started moving towards the east.
Okay.
And that's when the real problem started, right? Right? And they didn't even have a permit. I don't even know if they applied for one. So, you make a lot of good points, Pete.
So, speaking of the pond, were permits ever filed to cross Walker Brook? And I know it's been said that some of this has been dates back to Warren's fire, but we're sitting here in an area with Walker Brook and the concerns with the culvert that goes underneath the whole area, and they built a causeway there, and that pond is much bigger than I ever remember it as a teenager. Okay, and usually it's the opposite. Stuff that you thought was big when you were a kid is not really that, but that pond is much bigger than I ever recall it being. And there's a causeway there. It's not a bridge, it's a causeway. Is it engineered? Because if that fails in a severe weather event, we could lose the building we're all in right now. Okay, God only knows what's going to happen with the culvert. Crossing to Route 9, you could lose all your east-west traffic, with the exception of Housatonic Street in the town of Dalton. You know, and that all needs to be looked at because that's in conjunction with what they're doing. That sole purpose of that culvert there is to get across to 105-16. And again, it's just something I've been looking at saying, that was never like that. There was a little culvert. Now they're impounding more and more water. If there's a catastrophic failure, you know, I'm not going to say it's like the Jonestown flood, but it's going to be millions and millions of dollars of damage to the town of Dalton. So, with the $25,000 bond, what is that going to do if there's a failure like that? What's it going to do to pay for air monitoring? The town of Dalton shouldn't be on the hook for this. The town of Dalton's all of us. We shouldn't be on the hook for any of this. It should be incumbent upon them. That bond needs to be changed if they're going to stay. Because It's just inconceivable to me that $25,000, that's nothing with any kind of an accident. And you, like I said, any failure with that causeway, you know, we're gonna be in big trouble.
Okay,
You know, there's a whole lot of things to worry about.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Richard?
Richard Hope, 164 Greenwich. I'll try and keep it brief. Apologies last week, a little emotional. So I did have a procedural point. I'm just reading through this, and I can't comment on number 11 and number 15, because I don't know exactly what they're about. And in the public address to the board, we're saying you should comment about things listed, because you're not going to take any comments when the items come up. So my question is, in future, if that's the case, can we have more transparency about the
Let's
items?
have an explanation of what they are.
Yeah,
Okay.
because then we can comment.
Okay.
So I can't comment
Okay.
on those. And then just lastly, I did, attorney for Berkshire Concrete asked citizens if they had any concerns to contact them directly. So today I sent him a letter and I CC'd the Board of Health saying, you know, one side, they seem to have done a lot of work and, you know, hopefully it's going to stop the sand. But the other side is totally bare. So once it dries out and the wind picks up, isn't that going to take the dust and then put it into the neighborhood? So I've just asked him that question. So we'll see what he says. And if he gives an answer, I'll be happy to pass it along. But as I said, Board of Health is also. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone. You know, as we said, we know it's frustrating. We know everyone's trying to do what they can to get this taken care of. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
You should read this letter.
Go ahead, John.
You probably all seen this letter. It went to Agnes Hotel Dog Board of Health. The Massachusetts DEP believes the town of Dalton has sufficient regulatory authority over the matter of dust mitigation and nuisance conditions. The special permit issued to Berkshire Concrete by the planning board, the planning board, notice of, under the law, notice of decision regarding Berkshire Concrete Corporation, petition number 2R20424, contains adequate language, specifically items 11 and page 4, for the town to require Berkshire Concrete to submit a plan for additional monitoring and mitigation beyond the stated minimums of roadway and gravel and periodic water. Should the town require Berkshire Concrete? Now, this is where it's a little vague, because should the town, are they saying the town, like the select board? I think they mean the planning board, because they allude to the planning board back here in the paragraph. But it says, should the town require Berkshire Concrete to apply for a new special permit? Now, that's an important sentence. Are they saying that they should have to apply for a new special permit for the entire operation right now? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just reading this. But I'm certain you have access to maybe more legalese advice than I do. Should the town require Berkshire Concrete to apply for a new special permit? Additional mitigation language could be included in the permit that creates a higher baseline standard for the permittee. That's a nice word. Collaboration with the Board of Health on this language would be advisable. So, it looks like, you know, good folks have said, well, we've gone here, and you've been back and forth 3 or 4 times and all that and all that. You're looking for somebody to do something. I think it's squarely in the planning board's ballpark to right now seriously consider them having to get a new total overall, as pertains to this letter, total new special permit with all these provisos in there. And the Board of Health, they strongly advise to work in concert with the planning board and take their recommendations and put it in the permit. It's right here, I'm sure you've all seen this, but I think that's where you should be concentrating your efforts. We're doing all we can here. Mr. Pedro, as you know, is instituting some initiative that they help the process along, but we don't know for sure. We're just being prepared. And I really believe that after reading this, it's the planning board, and will have the authority to require a new special permit now, not in November.
Just a comment, John, I understand what you're saying. I'd like to bring that up in agenda item number 17 in terms of authority.
Can we today?
Yeah, tonight.
Item 17, what's that?
Future agenda items, not in this,
Yeah. Items on under 48.
number 17.
Okay,
All right, I guess.
okay, we're gonna go to appointments. Go ahead.
Well, we need
Conflict of interest.
Oh, of course, yeah. I can do yours.
Yes,
We can reach this.
Okay.
there's a special situation with the Dalton Housing Authority, and then we've not had a state appointee to the position for several years, actually. And in that case, and actually any time over 120 days, the select board can appoint a member to that position. And we've had a resident express interest, and we have gotten the okay from the director
Director of the Housing Authority, that's what we were waiting.
to go ahead with that.
Yeah.
So I can recommend appointing Rachel Branch to the Dalton Housing Authority, effective immediately to June 30th, 2026.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you, term.
I move that we appoint Rachel Branch to the Dalton Housing Authority effective immediately to June 30th, 2026.
There's a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Point, opposed? Okay. Congratulations, Rachel.
I have a quick statement, if it's all right.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Dalton Selectboard members. Thank you for my appointment as a commissioner to the Dalton Housing Authority. It is another way for me to continue my ongoing advocacy for the elderly and disabled, of which I am one. You might be surprised to learn that my fifth great-grandfather, Benjamin Gallup, who served in the Revolutionary War and is one of the founding families of Dalton, is buried right down the street from where I now live in housing for primarily elderly and disabled individuals. Benjamin Gallup believed one ought to mind one's own business. I suspect he and I would have a very robust conversation about that today. Minding the business of and caring for our neighbors is our business, and I shall continue to do the very best I can as Dalton's newest Dalton Housing Authority Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's one.
Okay, Mr. Hutchinson.
I would also like to request the appointment of John Boyle to the Berkshire Regional Transit Authority Advisory Board, effective July 1st, 2025 through June 20th. June 30th, 2026. And then we have an appointment letter for that.
Okay, I'll make this motion. Sure. Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint John Boyle to the Berkshire Regional Transit Authority Advisory Board, effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further comments or concerns?
To confirm, Mr. Chairman, I promise to make the budget run on time.
Good luck on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Stepping up. Okay. Tom, I'm gonna hold you off for 1 second, okay? I wanna go to item 9, the proposal from Berkshire ARC for bottle can collection. John?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to make this pitch. Berkshire County ARC is an organization that we employ some of their clients in our bottle reduction. We've been doing it for over 8 years. They've been great as far as employees, and great to our community, and they've been great employees, so they're fun. An idea came to mind in that time frame of possibly starting a new business for them that would replace Simmons Sort, which has been phasing out. And we talked about it as a group, and we come up with an idea to try and take a warehouse space they currently have, which will explain to you how that operation runs. I'm just trying to give you the backdrop of where this came from. But the idea was to come up with a large quantity of recyclables that could be redeemed and in turn employed for clients from Buck, of which Dalton has some current members right now working there. So we looked into the landfill, I'm aging myself, transfer station, and met with Bud Hall about could we possibly get the opportunity to collect recyclables at the transfer station for Mark, take them back to their site to redeem them and employ clients. So we met with Bud. He saw no issue with that. He actually saw an opportunity for the town of Dalton to save some money. If this opportunity works out for us, this mutual benefit, we can save $4,000 to $5,000 a year in taking those recyclables out of the stream to be transported out of the transfer station, out of Dalton, and at our expense. So currently, it looks like it's an opportunity that would benefit Dalton, ARP, and the clients involved in Buck. So that's where the idea came from. I'll let Dave Singer speak to that about how that operation runs currently. But I think this is a proposal that I hope the town looks at and says it's a win for everybody. Dave Singer.
Well, thank you. Dave Singer, Berkshire County ARC, Vice President of Marketing and Communications. Before I forget these 2 points, we have talked to Costello about maybe a loss of business from not picking up what we would collect, and they're fine with it. They're supportive. And also, I'm aware that the Boy Scouts do something once a month, and if we dent their revenue, we're happy to talk to them and figure that out as well, so we don't want to do anything like that.
They're good. We copy that.
So our model is not collecting from the public to share. We don't, the sole purpose is to employ people with disabilities. That's really what we're trying to do. If we break even, if we make money, that is great. But really, we're just trying to reach a scale of economy so we can just keep hiring, teach them skills, and then send them over to a place like John's to work. So right now we have a van, and we put people in it, and we pick up from community college, from the medical center, from garden buildings, some restaurants and so on. So we have about 35 people doing that. And, we're starting to get spread pretty thin, so now we're trying to figure out a different model. And so you would be the first town we can do this with. And we would then, after our success, you would then try to go to a different town. So right now, all these nickels are basically being in the workshop. They just get recycled. And so we're hoping to become that center. We don't have a spot right now where the public comes in and returns and gets their nickel. We don't know what we're doing just yet. We're not going to put anything you want there. We work with you. We build something. We write something. Eventually, I guess we word of mouth, or we'd have signage, whatever works. And eventually people would realize that's what's going on there.
Questions?
Sounds great.
I think it's great, yeah, absolutely.
You think you're going to be able to procure living storage all the way around?
That's what we've been doing. That's our spot.
Oh, that's, you already got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's ours.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of done, and we just take it over. We're kind of, the structure's in place, that's why we're holding up until we start doing something like this.
So we're looking for the select board support this evening to give us the opportunity to move to the next level, which was actually go and stake out the site and say, okay, how can this work? How can we inform the public and make this a successful venture for the community? And it's a win-win, no matter where you look for this. The opportunity, when Dalton looks at it and says, this is just a huge win, we're all in, it's then to go to other communities and say, gang, it's a win for everybody, let's get behind this.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board support this initiative by Mr. Kelly and Barth. I think it would be a great endeavor and very beneficial to the community and to the employees.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I look forward to being the first one in the county dealing with this. Proud of that.
Yeah. I just have one point of clarification. I'm an employee of Kelly. Should I recuse myself? This has nothing to do with John. Safe. I was recused just for the sake of it.
Good idea.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
One direction, we do everything to do it, John, he's pushing us to do this.
Thank you. Okay, Tom, you're up.
All right, just a few items, since it's been just a few days. So that's my last report. Well, we've been taking care of routine business. Due to the late start for hiring, the DPW superintendent has some extra money for summer help, and we intend to bring that candidate forward as a third summer worker next week.
Okay.
And at your next meeting. Pittsfield is requesting a renewal of our sewer intermunicipal agreement. I'll put this on the next agenda to help start the conversation. We have some material. The existing agreement is quite old, so I expect there will be some major changes requested.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, that's pretty much all that I had.
Okay, thank you. Tom.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tom, from there.
And
Okay,
you mentioned in yours that you were also talking about ARPA.
Oh, yeah.
Is that,
For the ARPA,
yeah?
yeah,
Is it done?
you now have the corrected sheet with the correct figures on it. We, just very briefly, out of a total grant of $1,950,366, $367.06. We spent on infrastructure $1,404,147. That's about 3/4 of the money on infrastructure, which I think is a good investment for the town. We spent an additional $491,320.13 on departmental equipment replacement. This means that all of the equipment we replaced through ARPA, we will not have to ask the town to fund. So again, another smart investment. And finally, we had, for other or miscellaneous expenses, $54,899.59. So that brings us to within $1 of the amount that we had to commit.
okay, absolutely. Thank you. Any questions for Tom? Okay. Number 10, Town Manager Screening Committee, candidates for interim town manager. John?
Good evening. As requested, from the last meeting, the screening committee met on the Thursday the 22nd to review resumes from individuals who presented resumes for the interim position. And we also went through the resumes we had already received for the permanent position. And I'll start with the resumes that for the permanent position. Well, we contacted the people, we contacted several from that group, all of which declined, and primarily it was because of their existing positions now. To be able to get a leave of absence for 12 weeks or better, they just couldn't do it. It isn't that they weren't interested, they just couldn't, do that leave of absence. We did receive, so those candidates, there are none from that group, but we received 4 resumes for the interim position. And of those 4, 2 we didn't meet the qualifications for the position. So that's why, unfortunately, I know you wanted 3 candidates to choose from. We only were able to present 2.
That's fine, John.
And those 2 are in your packet. Mr. Matt, if I pronounce this correctly, Castriata, and Henry Williams.
Yeah, very good, Joe.
So, again, just to clarify, you are going to interview on the
Hopefully
next meeting?
Yes, hopefully next.
Okay. We did not reach out to either.
That would be June 2nd.
Yeah, can we like do it an hour earlier or something?
Sure. Yeah. We did not reach out to these candidates to arrange anything
Okay,
because we did not know what your pleasure was and how you were going to do it. Whether it was going to be in person, Zoom, both.
we'll
We just-
give them the option of either
Okay.
way.
Well, again, it's totally up to you.
I think the town manager probably take give it setting up times and interview times and et cetera, et cetera.
Say that again.
I think the town manager will probably take care of all that.
Yes.
Detail, and then arrange times and interviews and et cetera.
Okay. We will more than likely meet again on the 5th. At this point in time, we're planning on it just to keep the process going.
Yeah.
And to keep ahead of the game. I know that a firm has now been approved for a contract signed to help us, obtain more resumes. But still, we have an idea of what they may want, so we just want to keep things rolling, so to speak. So with that, if there's any questions, I'm glad to entertain.
It's a huge thank you.
How many total resumes have you got so far? What we got so far?
There were 12 or
I
13.
just thought, yeah,
And of those, about 5 or 6 that have the qualifications that we were looking for. But again, from what the proposal was, that I saw the one applicant of the firm that wants to do the work, they will all be vetted and there will be a group that they will send back to us, and then we will send another group to you for interviews.
have you set a deadline for accepting resumes?
According to the proposal of the firm that applied, it's usually a 30-day window to receive resumes. And then after that, a process starts of going through those resumes and picking the best ones for interviews. And they have a very in-depth process of essays and questions and interviews, and it's very thorough from what I was reading.
Based on the 30-day window to submit resumes, it takes us up to probably July 1st. So we're probably looking at sometime this summer.
Their window with they try to get things done within a 12 to 14-week window. They work pretty fast once they have the plan set and what they need to do. And they'll be meeting with the board, and they'll be meeting with our committee to do a variety of things to send out to possible candidates to see if they're interested. So it's an involved process. It's an involved process.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks, Ken.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Number 11, special town meeting.
We've had some changes to it since last week, so I'd just like to go over it one final time. Because there is the possibility that there might be further changes to it, we have not yet printed out a final copy for signing. But if this does get approved, or if it gets approved with minimal changes, we'll be able to get that printed tomorrow, and people can come in and sign it anytime during the week. Well, Wednesday or tomorrow or Thursday, and then we can get the constables to post. Article 1 is as it was, coming up with the budget for the police department. Article 2 is items that we will have that will reduce the amount of money appropriated under Article 3 of the recent annual town meeting. Right now, it's looking as though we'll only have 2 of those items, but they'll cover about $90,000 that we can take out of the budget. Article 3 will be to add about $20,000 to the article for the truck with sewer flushing equipment. That was very close to the figure that the DPW superintendent said that he would need above the amount the town meeting approved. Article 4 is curing the deficit of the snow and ice account. You may recall that's the account that we can overspend, and we overspent that by about, I believe about $40,000 this year, so that comes in free cash. That will not be an appropriation it would not be a tax. It would not be raised for the levy. Article 5 is to provide a sum of money, and this is new based on what Tony presented last week. Provide a sum of money for the purpose of funding professional and technical work to ensure the compliance of Berkshire Concrete Corporation with the conditions of their special permit and with town orders. So that covers all of the orders and the special permit conditions. That would be for mostly legal and engineering work. There's a new one just as of today. We are able to rescind some money that we voted to spend for the sewer. This is paying the excess amount for the Pittsville. We found that we had been overbilled. Sandy did some great detective work and found that she was suspicious of the figure and dug down and found that we had been overbilled by Pittsville, so we will be able to rescind that article, that would save about $34,000. And they'll save even more under Article 2 here, because there's sewer treatment expenses here that are also.
Cindy's right here. Great work, Cindy.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Cindy.
May I speak to Article 5, Bob? Pardon? May I speak to Article 5?
Article 5.
Yeah, in the warrants. In the
Oh,
warrants.
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so first I want to thank John and Tom for the language provided on short notice and to the board to certainly put it on the agenda. Thanks, Bob. So I just want to address Article 5. And there's professional and technical, so it's twofold. So Tom provided some legwork in terms of legal fees, and my understanding is KP Law, our counsel, oversees the permitting. However, if it was to go above and beyond permitting, it would be approximately $350 an hour. So a determination would have to be how many hours. I know I have an opinion on that. I'd say at least a minimum of 100, and if need be, I hope not, doesn't become contentious, that would do it. But if not, hopefully in the fall, another meeting may address that. The other sum, and in terms of technical, and this would be for services rendered in addressing the mining operation there, I found an earlier quote by Ecogenesis, which is a local firm. Ecogenesis is currently going to be bought out by Berkshire Environmental Consultants, which was mentioned earlier, I think. So they would be willing to do sampling, testing of sand samples, and it is twofold. The analysis of dust samples to semi-quantify the amount of crystalline silica and determine particle size distribution. The quote is broken $950 for silica sampling, $790 for particle size distribution, a total of $1,740. The gentleman there indicated that it wouldn't be less than a figure of $10,000, what with the number of samples required. So again, that's a minimum, and that quote was provided back in March. So taking that into consideration for monies towards that end. I also reached out to Ecogenesis again, and given the short time frame, I haven't had a discussion there, but I did discuss with another environmental firm over in Albany, Ambient Environmental, and they're drawing up a quote in terms of monitoring in terms of dust coming across. And I'll speak to that in terms of Article 17. However, there may be monies that should be put aside. Again, if it does become contentious, what with the summer months appearing. So I hope to have some number on that or handle on those monies if indeed dust mitigation testing is required, air monitoring. The other notion is noise monitoring. I think that was mentioned earlier here. I have really no clue in terms of what that would entail or the monies involved in terms of noise monitoring. But that's something I'll investigate further, and if anybody else would be helpful that way, that'd be great. So, in a nutshell.
Now, anything else?
I have nothing else.
Okay, motion to accept the warrant.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the warrant for the special town meeting on June 9th as presented.
There a second? Second. Okay, motion been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Please stop by and sign it in the next couple of days. Okay, number 12.
We had a finding your package an open meeting law complaint that was filed. What we need is just to review it briefly and approve Town Council drafting a response. We have to respond to the Attorney General's office soon. So the attorney's already drafting the response in anticipation that you will request that. And so this has to do with the site visit. And the complaint is that the site visit was not posted, and therefore it's not, and therefore it was an open meeting law violation. And the town's argument so far anyway is that a site visit is not a meeting and does not fall under the open meeting law.
Plus, it was not on a town property, it was on a private property, i.e., well, contiguous property. If he doesn't grant the complainee permission to be on his property, it's not our fault.
Right. If it were a meeting, we would be required to hold it at a place which was accessible.
Well,
It was a site inspection.
I mean, we responded all through diligence, which apparently we are.
So all I need is the board's approval to have our attorney draft response for the Attorney General's office.
So then, oh, good.
Well, I'll have a question inside.
Okay, I would move that we support the position that the town council respond to this complaint.
So second?
Second,
Okay, go ahead, Dan.
how many select board members were present that day out of curiosity?
3.
There were 3, okay, that's curious.
That constitutes a quorum.
Yeah, but not really, it's a site inspection.
It would if it were a meeting.
If it were a meeting,
Okay.
I was just
Same thing
curious.
with it. When we were on Conservation Commission, we had sometimes 5 or 6 members out there. It's not a meeting. You're not delivering, you're not making any decisions.
Okay, you're gathering information only, yeah, observation and information. And then how many members of the planning board and board of health, if anyone recalls? Just out of curiosity.
There was at least 2 of each, I think.
2 of each, okay. Fair enough, I just wanted to know.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Pittsfield Public Schools Vocation Education Adjustment.
We have a rather unusual case here in that there is a Dalton resident who has been attending Pittsfield, the vocational school, and for at least a year. I think this is the first year, but we did not identify her as a Dalton resident, and I am and we are. I have confirmed with her mother that she is in fact a Dalton resident by telephone, and so Pittsfield discovered this and has rather graciously offered to charge us for that student only for the current quarter, rather than the full year. But it is something that we should recognize and then plan for the student to be included in that roster going forward.
Would that be up to the school to revamp or reorganize their submission list of potential candidates going to, I assume this is exactly.
I believe they will, well, they now have that student as a Dalton resident, and they had not before, so that will continue on their end as well.
Tom, does that require a revote of the vocational budget for next year?
No, we will, the funding will be, we won't know the final funding for the vocational budget until much later. So it doesn't make sense to change the vocational budget for FY '26. We will have to come up with money for this quarter, but that's a relatively small amount of money.
I'm just saying in the fall, if there's a fall special meeting, that budget can be adjusted accordingly.
It has always been the intent of the staff to try to bring to a fall special town meeting an adjustment, if required, for vocational education, given the result of the last minute changes in enrollment.
How much is the amount?
The amount for the tuition would be on the order of $5,000. and it would be similar for transportation.
I think it's more than that. I think those are.
Just for the quarter. For the quarter.
Just small.
Not the year. It is more for the year.
For the court.
Plus transportation, it affects the transportation budget. Right?
It's about the same. And the request for funding for that isn't clear, but I'm assuming it in this request. So normally, we bring the board requests for enrollment for students that have not yet enrolled. So that's why this is unusual, because we have now a case of a student that has been enrolled for the entire year. So I would just request that you approve this student and the funding requested by that student.
Right now?
Yeah.
You want to,
And I don't have a specific number for that.
I would move that we authorize the town accountant to fund the amount, which we don't know right now, for both the tuition and the transportation as soon as possible.
And approve the student as a vocational student from Dalton.
Yeah, and next year's.
Well, current,
Okay, I approve the student as a Dalton resident and eligible for this recompense.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made second. Is there any further discussion? Just want to ask, Sandy, is that all right with you?
Yeah, it's all right. Usually when someone moves into the town, we automatically have to take them if they were going through.
Okay, so we basically don't have much choice.
And you've already approved what the FY26 number of students are going to be. I believe we maybe still have some budget in the department. In the transportation, we're not sure if that person's part of transportation. And we have a bus that goes for any of the schools, like McGann, Smith, and they all get picked up and dropped off. So I don't think we have to worry about it.
All right, thank you.
But I'll look at that and see if I can nail it down.
Good.
At least for FY25.
Okay.
To make sure we have enough money. But I think 26 is floating right now.
Okay. Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, vacation carryover and payout request.
I have two vacation carryover requests and one vacation payout request. The carryover requests are from town accountant for 51 and a half hours. Again, it's above the amount that I am authorized to carry over for the employee. And another carryover from the treasurer for 67 hours. So I ask you consider those, and then we'll go to the,
You want to do it separately?
let's do them all.
I move the appropriate, it doesn't have a dollar amount in this one.
No, it's just approving the hours.
Proving the 51.50 hours.
Yeah.
Or the, send all the town account. Yes.
There a second?
Second. Just clarify that's carryover, not payout.
Carryover. All those in favor?
Aye.
The chairman moved that we carry over,
This is a payout.
this is a payout of this one,
No,
$7,100.
no, the second one is,
He sent it to you,
Your side.
he sent it to the chief, please, okay. Now we back to the other one.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I move that, yeah, who is,
Dollar fee.
Don Fahey, town treasurer, hours of 67 hours to be carried over.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Is a payout.
Yeah, and the third one here is pay out the amount of $7,168.80. I move that that amount be paid out to the chief of police.
Second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tom, does the select board have to sign or just me?
The select board does have to sign them. You have a copy of their football folder.
Yeah, I got them here.
Oh, yeah, Bob, if you could just sign for the select board, that would be good. And the date, if you could, the 27th.
Okay.
What kind of girl is this one? Western Mass Lacrosse Championship.
Oh, wow.
Okay, let's see, where are we here? Okay, we're on to 15. Okay, sign letter from Berkshire Town Council. Tony?
Yes, thank you, Bob. I read this last week. I think it bears reading again. To whom it may concern, this is to aver that the Select Board of Dalton stands with the Dalton Clean Air Coalition and affected Dalton residents in regard to the resolution of their ongoing concerns regarding the regular and sustained disturbance from mining operations at Berkshire Sand and Gravel in the town of Dalton. The sand particulate blowing from those mining operations is a continuous nuisance to abutting and adjacent homeowners, and upon information and belief, significantly interferes with the property interests of community members. The Select Board, in cooperation with the persons and agencies listed below, will seek to resolve the dust complaint attached herewith and will take all appropriate actions thereto. Copies to Governor Maura Healy, Congressman Richard Neal, Senator Paul Mark, State Representative Leah Davis, the Dalton Board of Health, the Dalton Planning Board, the Dalton Conservation Commission, and the Dalton Clean Air Coalition.
Okay, motion.
So Chairman, I move that we authorize that the letter that's imposed by Mr. Taylor will be sent to the named addressees on the letter.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we have the original letter to send, or
I don't. I have it in the packet.
There's one right here.
is it?
You know what, later we printed it.
Yes.
No,
You don't have one in the purple folder?
I think,
We'll have that with those.
Signed with the warrant.
okay, fine.
For that.
may I follow up with a couple motions, Bob, for us to consider and deliberate upon?
Sure.
And again, reflects to what I mentioned last week. I'd like to move that the Select Board invite the principal or the Select Board invite the principal or their representatives, Berkshire Concrete Corporation, to a Select Board meeting to discuss the current Berkshire Concrete mining operations in town. And basically, I'm asking that, much like with Mr. Roberts, who came before this board with an attorney, that Berkshire Concrete come in person or have a representative before this body. I'd like to have questions from the public, which we could present to the representatives and have hopefully a civil discussion, but with questions from citizens and our own.
Are these questions going to be before?
Yes, they would be submitted before the meeting for us to determine which questions and put forth to the representative.
Submit it in writing.
Submitted in writing.
Yeah.
That's a motion I'd make.
Okay, bring it to next meeting.
You don't want to vote on it?
We can't.
You can't. Okay, all right, we'll do one. All right, can I make another motion then?
Sure.
Go ahead, just go back to, what you're advocating is that we invite the, hierarchy of Patricia and Berkshire Concrete and their attorneys, if they wish, to come to a select board meeting and answer questions that will be solicited from the audience in writing and then asked by a member of the board.
Correct.
Okay, just want to be sure.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he be able to make that motion under future agenda items, or?
I was just gonna make that recommendation, because I'd like to discuss that also, so.
Okay, let's hold on till we get.
Put it on the agenda to discuss before we?
Okay, bring all these to, to number 17.
Number 17.
Okay, sounds good, sounds good.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. The select board scheduled for July. Mr. Boyle, you have the date for that?
Yeah, I think it's Monday, July 14th.
Yes, still there.
We did our scheduled meeting in July. And the reason we do this is an attempt to accommodate town employees who wish to take their vacations in early July or end of July.
Yeah, it'll be 14.
14th?
Yep, 14th. So you're proposing just one meeting?
Yeah, that's what we always have.
Didn't we always do one in August as well?
Yeah,
What's the date again? I'm sorry.
14th.
14.
Of
I
July.
guess we can address that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. This is August. Well, wait a minute. Keep moving. This. I want some in the middle, right?
So, may I ask,
11th?
I'm not going to be available on,
18th?
18th is totally fine for me.
In addition, it's been suggested, myself, and I'm suggested to the August 18th, or maybe be the meeting date scheduled for August.
July.
Why don't we take August in the future? It's just, it's not listed on the agenda.
There's that, there's that.
Oh, okay.
If it said summer schedule, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about July and take August at the next meeting, maybe?
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Yep.
so we're suggesting not to meet at all before July 4th?
No. Setting our summer schedule is usually what's on the agenda, is summer schedule, but for some reason, it's just July.
Yeah, I knew, I get it. I just feel that, with audience participate, I just like to meet before July 4th if we could to get these motions.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, we get a whole bunch of June.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, June.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, I was.
Then we have in June. Now, can we have a meeting next week? Can we
Yeah,
see it?
We do.
Oh, okay.
So June 2nd and June 16th.
Can I ask why we're move meeting in the same? Is there a special reason?
16th.
Oh, is it the 2nd and 23rd?
Because on the 9th, we got the town meeting.
Could be, right. Well, that's the
On the 2nd and the 9th.
Or the
Town meeting's on the 9th.
Town meeting's on.
right.
The special town meeting's on the 9th.
Is there anything compelling that causes us to be meeting on June 2nd?
Yes.
Yes.
Interim town manager,
Yeah.
Okay. So,
is one, and then two would be Tony's motions regarding meeting with Berkshire Concrete.
and then, so we're not gonna meet on the 9th, so we meet on the 16th?
Yes.
Or the 23rd,
Yeah,
the 16th,
16th, I do believe it.
and we'll be meeting on
That's good,
June 16th.
that's good.
Wait a minute, it's the 2nd and 4th, right?
So that would be first and third.
First and 3rd, so. We can do 1st and 3rd. Could you, when are you gonna be hightailing out of here?
Not till after that.
Okay,
I'll be here for the 16th.
all right, then. We'll have it on the 16th.
Why don't,
You're going away present.
well, here, I propose that, and I can make a motion if the board wants that, but if the vice chair, the chair, or the town manager can come up with a recommended schedule for June, July, and August, present it to the board on June 2nd, please, rather than trying
We'll
to
do that at our.
wrangle
agenda.
cats.
Yeah, we'll do that.
right now. Great, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Let's stick with custom. All right, future agenda items, any?
So now that's where
Can
I,
I talk on that real quick?
Yes.
Tony, on the special town meeting call for the professional technical, I'd like the professional to be our lead person a lawyer for all of us, so walk us through this, make sure, I want a pitfall in that position. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, we also have a consultancy too.
Right.
So we have a legal end, and we have a technical.
I want that legal to be our pitfall.
Yeah. I don't know if KP does that. That's my question to Tom, because the extent does, I mean, be above and beyond the permitting, is that?
Well, yes, we have, one lawyer representing the, we're working with the planning board and zoning board of appeal, and we have a different lawyer working with the board of health at this point.
I guess what I'm saying is, what Mark is saying, is there someone who will be a litigator, if indeed we need that litigator to take us forward?
That's what,
Through KP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they would definitely do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Because that saves us the time to solicit bids. So KP would be,
I want somebody that's gonna tell the health board to do this, to do that, the planning board to do this, to do that. One single person who has the legal knowledge to walk us through this and deal with this once and for all. That's what I want on the town, for that article on the town meeting where it says professional, and technical. I want a dollar amount enough in there to hire somebody to do that. That's what I want.
Well, that's gonna depend on the
contentious.
the vision that we have for what we want to do, right? So we need to tell them what we want to do.
I think it's sort of nebulous until we have a consultant who works hand in glove with the attorney.
I think this has to pass first.
Yeah,
Then,
right, through the town meeting.
Tony, at one point in time, you suggested that, and that,
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend that again, John.
okay.
Okay, all right.
So
Any
you're
other
requesting this to be on a future agenda?
I'm just saying, we're thinking about having a meeting with Berkshire Concrete here, with the residents and with us.
Understood.
That I mean, the timing of this, I really want to get somebody on board that's gonna,
Understood.
Now,
It's your suggestion for that special meeting
yeah,
to have someone? Okay.
yes.
Gotcha. Understood.
Okay.
Is that something we're gonna discuss more on coming?
Because I'm sure everybody knows,
Maybe or after?
if we have a meeting with Berkshire Concrete and they bring their attorney here, what's gonna happen? We're just gonna, same thing that's gonna happen up at the site there. That's all that's gonna happen. We need somebody here representing us, an attorney that's gonna be working for us. That's what we need.
Okay.
I'm sure that's doable.
And do we have a projected time for that meeting?
Well, I would say after June 9th, as long as it passes.
Right, okay.
As soon as possible.
we don't want to be doing this, having this meeting with them, if another board, i.e. the planning board or the board of health, has some other events plan or
Right.
course of action plan. And our meeting would, Patricia would, upstage that or make it not productive.
I'd like to speak to that later on, Jonathan, in terms of taking the reins.
Okay.
So,
Wait a minute, Tony. Okay. Yours got to come up at 18.
18th. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, any other future agenda items? Okay, number 18, items not anticipated 48 hours before the meeting. Tony?
No, okay. So I'm going to restate that the select board invite the principal or the representatives of Berkshire Concrete Corporation to a select board meeting to discuss the current Berkshire Concrete mining operations in town.
I would like to amend that. The board only do this if it doesn't interfere with the actions or activities of another board, i.e. the Board of Health or the Planning Board.
Well, let me jump ahead then, John, because I understand where you're coming from. May I go ahead? Okay. So I have a letter from Western Mass Department of Environmental Protection. I'm not going to read the entire letter, but this dates back March 28th. And so I'm quoting, therefore, the town of Dalton retains the primary regulatory authority over dust mitigation and nuisance conditions. As the permitted authority, the town can include mitigation measures in the special permit issued by the planning board receiving input from the Board of Health or other town boards. Additionally, the boards of health are empowered to address nuisance conditions, Chapter 11, subsection 31C, and Section 122. As related to previously, the Mass DEP considers this a local issue under the direct authority of the town of Dalton. So, in terms of the Mass General Law, Section 122, the Board of Health shall examine into all nuisances, sources of filth, and conditions of sickness, et cetera, et cetera. So they note the Board of Health here as the primary. Section 31C, the Board of Health or other legal authority constituted for such purpose by vote of the town or city council shall have jurisdiction to regulate and control atmospheric pollution, et cetera, describing these which constitutes a nuisance, a danger to the public health, or impair the public comfort and convenience. They go on to state, whoever violates any order, rule, or regulation promulgated or adopted under these provisions, under this law, shall be punished for the first offense by a fine of not less than $1,000 nor more than $5,000, and for a subsequent offense by a fine of not less than $5,000 nor more than $10,000. Rules and regulations promulgated or adopted under the provisions of this section shall be enforced by the said Board of Health or other legal authority, either of which may delegate the power to enforce specific regulations to other agencies or departments of the same city or town. So what they're saying there is that we have the authority, and I don't want to usurp the authority of these other regulatory boards to step in. And I think we should take the reins and step in. And I think those boards would be grateful if we did that, let alone our citizens. So this is a public nuisance. It interferes with the enjoyment of residential property and the operation of business. And I'll finally quote the letter from Mr. Gorski, an email that he sent back in February. And I'm not going to get to the whole thing, but he concludes by saying, in addition to compelling immediate dust mitigation measures, town authorities may want to consider ordering BC, Berkshire Concrete, to implement an air monitoring program at their fence line perimeter and report those results to the town on an established basis. We absolutely want to be helpful and provide technical assistance to the town to help them mitigate. So what's been said earlier is what I'm repeating here, that this board take the reins, pick up the mantle, in all deference to the other boards mentioned, and go forward. And in fact, I have a motion here to that effect, that the select board, with the advice and the conditions prescribed by the DEP, direct and order BCC to conduct air monitoring along their fence perimeter on map number 217 and 106, lots 3 and 55.1. Those are the permitted areas. And map 104, lot 16, contiguous to town and residential property, and report those results to the town on an established basis. So what I'm suggesting.
Excuse me, could you repeat those lots that you were talking about?
Yeah, when those lots are map 217 and 106, lots 3 and 55.1. Those are permitted areas.
Right, they're on the.
They've been permitted regularly. They're being used currently. So I'm suggesting those and map 105, which we know the unpermitted area, be monitored along the fence line. So not just the area in question, but all areas in question. Okay, which we have the authority to do. And I've given our map here to my colleagues, indicating that the perimeter area is quite extensive. It's up around the landfill. It's up around the transfer station. It's up around High Street. It's all those areas subject to sand blowing. So that's my recommendation. So I know that's a big bite to throw before the board, but I do believe it's within our purview, and I do believe it's mandated.
I have no problem with it, but I would like our lawyer to review it before we send it to him.
So I'll second. Okay, thank you. And with the proviso that our lawyer review this. Absolutely, I'm okay with that. Okay. And actually reach out to the other boards too. I mean,
Copy all the other boards.
that's fine. That's good.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Dan?
How long will the air monitoring go on for? Is this a one-time test? What's the?
Dan, I don't know that, but that's where the DEP hopefully would come to us and give us direction, and hopefully our consultancy too. But the point is, I think we have to order it at this juncture.
Yeah.
And that's gonna take time, and then the devil's in the details, so to speak. And that's beyond my purview, but that's expertise.
Well, lawyers, Rick, should have some insight of how long we should do this.
And DEP too.
I mean, there should be some time sensitivity to the order, requiring them to conduct it by a certain time.
Yeah.
How many tests, where, locations? I mean, do we want to be more specific than just a more vague order?
Well,
Because then I think that, they could do whatever they wanted and then.
yeah,
I think this all goes back to what I was saying earlier about having a designated lawyer to handle this and be the pit bull for us and say, all right, this is what we're gonna do, this is what you need to do. That's why that June 9th, you're getting a good number on that, and that's what we need. We need one designated person to control this show that we got going on here with these, with them telling to do everything they're supposed to be doing.
I agree with you, Mark. My only point here is that we issue this order, and then we follow up with the expertise and the legalese in terms of the details. So I think it puts Berkshire Concrete on notice that we're serious. I don't know how else to say it, and we have that authority.
And before we send it to them, I really want to review
Yeah,
it so we can legally do it.
I'm with you.
Can I read the motion? Or
Yeah, I'll read it again. I'll read it. That the select board, with the advice of and the conditions prescribed by the DEP, direct and order Berkshire Concrete Corporation to conduct air monitoring along the fence perimeter on map 217 and 106, lots number 3 and 55.1, and map 105, lot number 16, contiguous to town and residential property, and report those results to the town on an established basis.
I see a motion against I just want to just sure.
I'm in support. I think it should be more specific with dates and.
Well, first, I think, well, if they get the lawyer, Tom Johnson's opinion, he might as well advise us that you don't have the authority to do this. We can possibly.
So Tony, you preface this whole thing by saying with the advice of DEP.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So we would not issue, you would not issue the order until
We get advice.
conferred with DEP.
Right.
You get the
All right.
Yeah.
I'd like to, I move that we amend the motion to include the advice from town legal counsel.
Okay,
Second.
sure.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? This is on the amendment.
On the amendment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
The original motion.
Yeah, now the original
Well,
motion.
now the full motion as amended.
Yes, now the full motion is amended.
Want me to read it again?
Sure, with the
Read it again, Bob?
amendment.
Okay. That the select board, with the advice of and the conditions prescribed by the DEP and the advice of town council, direct and order Berkshire Concrete Corporation to conduct air monitoring along their fence perimeter on map 217 and 106, lots number 3 and 55.1, and map 105, lot number 16, contiguous to town and residential property, and report those results to the town on an established basis.
Second. Oh, very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, I just got a couple more, Bob. And again, this is a repeat of last week, so we've invited, hopefully, Berkshire Concrete here. I'd also like to make the motion that the town zoning enforcement officer and our town planner conduct an on-site review of the permitted and non-permitted BCC mining operations, again on the map 217 and 106, lots 3 and 55.1, map 105, lot number 16, and that a written report be issued to the select board as soon as possible. As part of that, this is a huge area of land. I'd like to, as much as possible, I know it's a big bite, but I'd like them to identify the property lines, because when I walk the property, I don't know where these property lines are. And I'd like that to be part of the report, if it's at all possible. That would be secondary to reviewing the permit as we have it, and reviewing their mitigation plan as they've submitted it without our approval, and reporting back to us.
Was that the whole motion?
Well, I ended the motion with.
Okay, you
reporting back to
ended
them.
the motion.
Yeah, you want me to read it again?
Yes,
No, I'll
please.
read it again, absolutely. That the town zoning enforcement officer and the town planner conduct an on-site review of the permitted and non-permitted BCC mining operations on map 217 and 106, lots number 3 and 55.1, and map 105, lot 16, and that a written report be issued to the select board as soon as possible.
Second.
Okay.
I would like it also sent to the planning board,
Yeah, that's fine, Bob, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and the Board of Health,
Board of Health.
absolutely.
They need to be kept in the loop.
And the Conservation Commission,
Yeah.
I have a little
absolutely,
bit coffee.
yeah,
CC all the boards.
yeah.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
One last one, Bob.
Right, that's it.
This is enough. Okay, and again, a repeat of last week, that a clean air ad hoc committee be established with one representative and an alternate representative from the Select Board, the Board of Health, the Planning Board, and the Conservation Commission. Further, that the Select Board appoint 2 citizens, one from the Dalton Clean Air Coalition and one at-large citizen to the Clean Air Ad hoc Committee. Letters of interest should be submitted to the town manager for Select Board appointment. I've reached out to planning board members. I think they're on board with this. I just reached out to the Board of Health. The chair, co-chair is on board with this. I don't believe the Conservation Commission has a chair, so I don't know where that would stand, but I'd reach out to them also, and of course, our board and the public at large. You want me to read that again?
Question, charge of the ad hoc committee, to be determined later? or-
No, I think the charge, that's a good one, Dan. The charge would really be what our statement of intent is here. That is, the mission and charge would be just what we've approved tonight in terms of our signatures and copy. That would be our mission statement.
Second.
Do you want me to read it again?
Yeah, I think we'll do.
Okay? All right.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That's it for me.
Okay. Remarks of the select board.
One last thing, Bob, I just came from a meeting before this with the Public Safety Facility Advisory Committee. I said I would speak ever so briefly, but they are taking the tack now of looking to reach out to the public and get feedback, have informational meetings, hopefully conduct more tours of our police facility.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Thank you for everyone who come out for the Memorial Day parade. Yeah, it's a very moving ceremony as always. And above all, thank you for anyone that ever put on a uniform, any men or women that serve this country, especially the ones that paid the ultimate price. Appreciate them all.
Amen.
All right, anything else? All right, this leaves the announcement. The town is seeking volunteers. The Cultural Council needs 5 members. They are responsible for reviewing arts and culture grant proposals and approving projects and managing Dalton Day in the past. For other volunteer opportunities, please visit the town's website. The town of Dalton currently has the following employment opportunities. Town manager, DPW motor equipment operator, and COA van driver. Please visit the town website or contact the town manager's office for more information. Dalton's official meeting postings, agendas, and minutes can be viewed at mytowngovernment.org/01226. The next meeting of the regular select board is scheduled to take place on Monday, June 2nd, 2025. I'm going to amend that to 6 p.m. at the Dalton Senior Center with an option for remote participation. With that, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So,
Is there a second?
Dave.
All those in favor? Aye. Good night, Dalton. Gentlemen, don't take off, guys. Hit a sign.